Okay, it is now 6:30, so we will kick off. Welcome everybody to the Street Life Committee meeting of Community Board 8. My name is Abraham Salcido. I co-chair this committee alongside Lindsay Cormack, who won't be joining us today. For the recording, today's Tuesday, July 2nd, 6:30 start time. Couple of rules of the road for everyone here. Thank you for attending. I'll be going down the agenda and inviting the applicant and or their representative to come off mute and tell us a little bit about their application. Couple of things that are always helpful are hours of operation, whether there's plans to use any outdoor space, whether there's any 311 complaints in the history, confirming that the venue is ADA compliant. All those things would be very helpful, so thank you in advance for that. Another PSAs, everyone was asked to flyer for the meeting in advance. After our full board meeting on July 17th, we ask everyone to please remember to also take down the flyers that they posted for this meeting. Thank you in advance for that as well. So after I have the applicant and or the representative speak to their application, I will inquire whether there's any members of the public that have questions or comments on that specific application. After any members of the public speak, I will then go to fellow committee members for questions, comments, or actions. If there's a reminder that any action here at this committee will go to the full board meeting, which is on Wednesday, July 17th. That's at Memorial Sloan Kettering, 430 East 67th Street, for the final full board vote. A couple of other reminders. Please remember to direct all questions, comments to myself as the chair, not to the applicants or other members of the public or committee speaking. I'd like to avoid any crosstalk. Please always remember to adhere to rules of decorum. Everyone has the right to participate, but we should also be respectful of each other, and anyone that cannot follow that will be muted and not be allowed to further participate. So I think that's it for me. And Kevin, I'll hand it over to you for the technical instructions.
Sure. Welcome, everyone. If this is your first time joining us, you'll notice that you're currently muted, and everyone will remain muted throughout the meeting except for the committee chair, Abraham, and any presenters as we move through the agenda. As we move through the agenda, the chair will call on members of the public wishing to speak. You can participate by going to the react icon on your device and pressing the raise hand button, not the wave or thumbs up, as those will disappear. Only press it once. If you press it a second time, your hand will go back down. If you are calling in on the phone, it is *9 to raise hand and *6 to unmute. Be on the lookout for a prompt asking you to confirm unmuting once the co-chairs call on you. The chat is available for technical support only to help with Zoom software problems, not to ask questions of the co-chairs. They will not see the chats. If you're using an older version of Zoom, you need to go to the participant section where you will find the raise hand feature there. Please do not raise your actual hand or wave at the screen because we may not be able to see you. Chat me, I'm here for support.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, so with that, we will start with the agenda. But first, I just want to make sure for my tally purposes, we're going to do a roll. I have Russell Squire, Robin Seligson, Marco Tamayo, Barbara Rudder, Addison Levitt, myself, for a total of 6 to start. If anyone joins as we progress, I will try to keep an eye out, but keep me honest, Kevin.
Judy Schneider is also here, and I think that's it.
Okay, so Judy makes 7. Excellent. Okay, so let's start with item 1A. Do we have the representative and or applicant? This is
one thing for 1A, and they can elaborate on this as well. 1A, for the committee, when I sent out the complete packet, you may have noticed that some of the documents they filled out contained they checked off liquor. So this is just for a wine, beer, and cider. So
Yep, thank you for that note. Appreciate that clarification. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, great. Eleanor or Max. Mr. Bookman, how are you?
I'm very well, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Long time no see.
I know. It's good to be back. Thank you, Chair Salcido. I am Max Bookman. With me is Eleanor Schotten. We are attorneys at Pazetsky and Bookman. You'll be seeing some of her face around these meetings with some increased frequency. For new members of the committee, our firm regularly appears before this committee, and as I like to remind folks, I am also one of your constituents. I've lived on the Upper East Side for over 10 years. My kid goes to PS 158, and I am proudly on the board of the PA at 158. I have two applications for you tonight. Both are one after the other. The first one is Burley Pastry, which is item 1A, and as Kevin correctly identified, it's a beer and wine license only. So with me is Andrew West, who is a principal, one of the principals of the applicant. This is a Robin Burley pastry shop, but you heard the name Robin Burley, but don't worry, this is not that club application that you heard several times. This is a separate application, Robin Burley, but it's a pastry shop on 69th and Madison. It's right in from Madison on 69th. It's a space that up until recently was called Poppy, which was a cafe, coffee shop kind of place. What they're going to be doing is taking over that space as well as the nail salon, both of which closed in the last month, combining them together for a 2-floor bakery and pastry shop. On the ground floor is your standard bakery retail, like you might see at an Ore Washers. It's fresh bread, pastries, there's gonna be chocolate, ice cream as well, a place where you could buy the stuff and take it home with you. But then there's also an upstairs with some seating where if you want to stay and have your food and a drink, you could have it as well. They'd like to have the option of offering beer and wine, closing at 9 p.m., 7 days a week. They originally put 8 on the paperwork. I told them to put 9 just because it seems pretty reasonable to me. They are going to have a sidewalk cafe just like Poppy and the folks before them had, but in compliance with the new program, the new DOT program. With that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Great.
Oh, and it is ADA accessible.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Bookman. Do I have any members of the public with questions or comments on this application? Okay, seeing none, I will first go to Marco, then Addison, then Judy.
Yeah, I would like to put a motion. The motion is to approve and then to speak.
Okay, you have a second from
Okay.
Addison?
Okay. I think this is a very simple application. The only thing I would like to ask questions about the sidewalk cafe. You said that you are in compliance. You will be in compliance with the new regulations. Can you describe a little bit deeper the new sidewalk cafe? What it is? Try to be as much as I think you're an attorney. You can describe better, and try to describe very clearly how it's gonna be the sidewalk cafe.
Sure, I'd be happy to, Marco, and it's nice to see you again. We've had a bit of a Wild West with outdoor seating in our community over the past 4 years. That is going to now be brought into control under the new law, which is now being rolled out. The deadline to apply is August 3rd. For existing businesses, this, of course, is not an existing business, so they'll apply closer to when they're ready to begin open and operating, which is still going to be quite some time from now. The major feature of the new law for sidewalk cafes is street-specific clear path requirements for a street like 69th Street, which is deemed by DOT as a local corridor. There's an 8-foot clear path requirement. This sidewalk, I was just there on my way home. It's just about 15 feet from my rough measurement. So they'll have a few feet to put a sidewalk cafe, but I think importantly, and unlike the prior operators, the sidewalk cafe has got to be limited to the building side of the street. The new program does not allow for seating on the on what DOT calls the amenity zone, the curb side of the street. So it'll be a more limited sidewalk cafe than what the prior operators had.
It will be enclosed?
No, it will not be enclosed. It's an outdoor sidewalk cafe.
Is that illegal, the enclosed?
The enclosures under the old law, under the old DCA law, the enclosures were illegal unless you got something specifically called an enclosed sidewalk cafe license. The new law does not have enclosed sidewalk cafe licenses. Okay. All the old ones were grandfathered, But moving forward, there's not going to be enclosed sidewalk cafes anymore.
Thank you for your information. I will appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, Addison and then Judy.
If Judy, I was gonna just call the question, so I don't know if there's a second to that, or if Judy wanted to ask questions.
Judy, do you have a comment or question before we call a question?
I have a question. Max, you said, is this the same Burley that owns the club?
It is the same Robin Burley, but this
Okay,
is
so
not.
I have a question. Okay, if it is the same. So he's opening what sounds like a very large bakery. It has an upstairs and they're going to be doing their own baking. Will they be supplying food to the club as well? Is that another reason he opened this?
Not the reason he opened it, and they will not be supplying food to the club as well. This is a separate project of his.
Okay, I mean, I have no problem if they are, but I was just curious about it since they're so close to one another.
No, this is an opportunity that came up. Yes, they are close to each other, but it's not because, the club is not going to be supplied by the bakery. And the bakery, unlike the club, the bakery is completely open to the public. Anybody is free to.
Well, then, I'm with Addison. Let's call the question.
Okay, great. If anyone's opposed to calling the question, let me know. Otherwise, I'll go to the roll. Okay, so for the roll, this is a motion to approve as presented. Anyone voting no, not voting for cause or abstaining, do let me know. Otherwise, you will go down as a yes vote, and I have 8 of us here, so it'll be 8-0 unless I see some hands for no, not voting for cause or abstaining. Okay, seeing none, that'll be an 8-0 approval. Thank you very much, Mr. Bookman. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll keep you unmuted for this, and I think you're also doing 1B.
I am.
Okay, do we have the representative, not the representative, but the applicant for 1B that we can unmute along with Mr. Bookman?
He should be on here either as Tim or as Yu Ying Lin. Tim Lin.
Yes.
Yes, there he is.
Yes.
Hello.
All right. Shall we proceed?
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Max Bookman, Eleanor Schotten, Pazetsky, and Bookman. With me now is Tim Lin, who is an accomplished sushi chef and the owner of CB8M. We are now moving to 2nd Avenue from, the last application was 69th and Madison. Now we're on 2nd Avenue and 82nd. This is a spot that used to be for a few years a place called AT's. It was like a tea place right next door to BurgerFi. Before it was AT's, it was Gina, one of the Gina pink awning pizza places for a number of years. Now it's going to be a sushi restaurant. He has one other location already further downtown on 5th Street. It's the same concept. If you look at the menu, which we included with the application, you'll get an idea instantly of the type of place it is. It is a standard, nice, bespoke sushi restaurant. Beer and wine only, closing at 11 p.m., 7 days a week, no outdoor dining. He's not interested in it, and ADA accessible, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Do I have any members of the public on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll go to Marco, then Addison.
I would like to put a motion. The motion is to approve as presented. And then I'm gonna speak if
You have
somebody
several
seconds.
seconds from myself, Barbara, and I believe Addison as well, so.
The question that I have is this a new place, or are you going to do some modification, alteration in the venue?
He's just going to build 2 sushi counters. Not going to be doing significant alterations, but some light construction.
Oh, but does it require to file in the Department of Buildings?
The building currently has a certificate of occupancy for this space, which the building, which this is a C of O from 1965, and it calls the first floor the basement. We don't know why, but it calls it the basement, but it's not the basement. There's also, the C of O also has a cellar notation. and it allows for eating and drinking. So, I'm not his architect. I don't believe he's filing, for a new C of O or an amendment.
No, no, I'm not asking for the legal use. The legal use, I think, is in the avenues is acceptable completely, regardless even you have a CO or not. And the only concern is if there is some modification, alteration, it is required to be filed as an alteration too. And then obviously the cities can profit from that. And one of the roles of the community board members is to look always for profits from the city. And that's what basically is my question.
I will advise him to check with his architect to see if an Alt 2 is required. Typically, I only get notified when an Alt 1 is required because that impacts the C of O. This is his second restaurant. My expectation is he'll follow the law.
Nothing to do with the CO. By the way.
Understood.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Addison,
I'd like to call a question.
great. You have some thumbs. Anyone opposed to calling the question? If not, I'll go to the roll. This is a motion to approve as presented. The tally is still 8. If anyone's voting no, not voting for cause or abstaining, please give me an indicator. No, not voting for cause or abstaining. Okay, that will go as an 8-0 approval. Thank you, Mr. Bookman.
Thank you very much. Nice to see everybody again.
Likewise. And look
Bye
forward
now.
to seeing you, Eleanor. Okay, moving on to the next item. Do I have the applicant or representative for item 2A? This is a corporate change application for Secret Summer Hospitality Group, 1155 2nd Avenue.
Hi guys, Tyler Hollinger here again from Festival Cafe. Great to see you guys again. This is a pretty basic change. Just one of the members of our company has left the company, and that's it.
All right, no other changes since we last saw you recently?
No, that's it.
Great, well, thank you for being here. Do I have anyone from the public? Okay, seeing none, I'll go to Marco, then Judy.
I would like to put a motion. The motion is to approve as presented. Thank you. Is anybody can second?
Yep, you have myself
you.
and Addison and Barbara. Judy?
Tyler, I just want to say that without that outdoor cafe, the permanent fixture that you took down, which you had to take down, it's a huge improvement to the neighborhood. And
I agree.
It looks much better. Gotten a lot of positive comments on it. So
yeah, everybody's raving
thank you.
about it. We couldn't be happier. No, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Addison?
Call the question, please.
Great. You have several support on that. Okay, if anyone's opposed to calling a question, let me know. Now we're going to the roll. This is a motion to approve as presented. If you're voting no, not voting for cause or abstaining, give me an indicator or I will put you down as a yes. No, not voting for cause or abstaining. Seeing none, and we have an 8-0 approval. Thank you very much and continue good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, great. Next, item 2B, Rocco's Partners LLC. This is a class change application, 1572 2nd Avenue.
Good evening. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Great. My name is Mike Palutis. I'm here tonight on behalf of Rocco's Partners LLC, which is trading as L'Incontro at 1572 2nd Avenue. I'm here tonight with Rocco Sacramani, the owner operator. Rocco, say hello real quick.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So L'Incontro is currently operating with a beer and wine license. This is an application for a class change to full liquor. This committee and CB8 on 2 prior occasions, I believe, supported a full liquor license at this location. And in fact, Rocco had applied for and obtained a conditional approval of a full liquor license from the SLA. That conditional approval unfortunately expired because Rocco had a lot of trouble getting the space built out during COVID. And so the space was dark and he was trying to get contractors in and it was just challenging. The SLA agreed to extend the conditional approval twice, but eventually they said, sorry, no more. And so at that point, he had sort of a tough choice. He could apply again for full liquor, but then he wouldn't be eligible for a temporary permit. And so he instead decided to apply for beer and wine only so that he could get a temporary permit. So he's now operating on the license. And so he's now able to apply for a class change, which will also enable him to get a temp for full liquor. So, Rocco's been a restaurateur for more than 25 years. If anyone was ever at the iconic La Encuentro in Astoria, it was there forever. And, he operated there until about 6 months ago when he lost his lease. He had initially intended to operate a different concept at 1572, also an Italian restaurant, but not La Encuentro. But given the timing of the expiration of the lease in Astoria, he decided to relocate the concept to 2nd Avenue. He closes no later than 11 p.m. This application does not include a sidewalk cafe, although one is coming. We're just working on the plans. We will come back to you for that when we have the plans finalized. He's ADA compliant, and with that, we're very happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, great. Well, thank you for that context. Thank you for coming back. Yes, we looked at the history. Appreciate you appearing. Apologies for the trouble, but glad to have La Encuentro coming up our way. Queens' loss is our gain, so we'll happily enjoy. Do I have any members of the public on this application? Okay, seeing none, I will go to Addison and then Marco.
Alrighty, I would like to make a motion to approve this as presented. The only thing I'd like to just put in there is that I know that in some of the previous meetings, we had discussed because we have sidewalk cafes coming after liquor licenses. We had spoken about a 10 p.m. Closing time for the outdoor cafe. That doesn't necessarily apply to the indoor liquor, but I don't know if you guys would be amenable.
No problem.
Thank you. Just trying to keep it fair for everyone.
Okay, great. So Barbara, that's a second. Okay. Marco.
Yes. And the question that I have is right now, are there any structure on the sidewalk or on the road? Do you have it? No. Okay. Why you don't want to do simultaneously? I understand very well. You explained very well the situation, but why you don't go directly with the outside? I would like just only to learn.
We're going to see you probably next month or very soon. We're working on the plans, so we've got to go. We need someone to draw up the plans and put them into the DOT format, which is required in order to apply with DOT. We just haven't been able to do that yet. So we didn't want to lose this month, and not have the full liquor available at the restaurant. So if we had waited, what it would have meant for Rocco is that it would have been another month or maybe 2 months without being able to get the temporary permit and operate with full liquor in the restaurant, which is frankly, it's hurting his trade. So, he's the reason we're staggering them is just that we're not ready with the plans yet for the sidewalk cafe.
I like to hear when you mentioned to be in compliance with the DOT regulations. I think this the principles, I think we had to appreciate deeply for the application and itself, because you are respectful of what is the new law that is in effect, which basically benefits your business, benefit the community. And I think I will deeply appreciate that. And I thank you so much. I'm looking forward for the other application, and good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Barbara?
Barbara, are you receiving the prompt to unmute?
My mouse went crazy. I'm sorry. I want to call the question is all I want to say.
Great,
Thanks. I had a crazy mouse.
Okay, I see some thumbs up for calling a question. If anyone's opposed, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to the roll. This is a motion to approve as presented. I'm still seeing the same 8. So if anyone's voting no, not voting for cause or abstaining, let me know. No, not voting for cause or abstaining. Okay, seeing none. This will go as an 8-0 approval. Thank you very much and good luck. And
Thank
look
you.
forward to having you.
Thank you all for your time this evening.
Thank you. One quick update, Addison, since you mentioned it. So we've updated the STIPs in the application so that all of those are already included. The outdoor 10 p.m., the backyard rear use, all of that is already in there, so we don't have to go through the same process every time. Just in case anyone if that wasn't circulated or anyone didn't know, we've already covered those, so that way we can streamline the process. But thank you for bringing that up. Okay, last but not least, do I have the representative for 3A? This is 1379 Water and Wheat LLC. This is a new outdoor dining application for a roadway cafe, unenclosed, 3 tables, 6 chairs, and this is at 1379 3rd Avenue between 78th and 79th.
Good evening, Aurelia Tavares, a representative for Water and Wheat, located at 1379 3rd Avenue. Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, I'm with the owner, Konstantinos Moskos. He's on the back. This is a 3-table, 6-seat sidewalk cafe, tiny, in the front of the location. Their operating hours are until 10 p.m., even on the inside. And this is a great little Italian place on 3rd Avenue.
Okay, thank you. One clarification on the application, because it also has roadway circled, so there will not be a roadway, it's just on the sidewalk?
Not for now, because we have if we do, we'll notify the board.
Okay, so just for clarification, this right now is only for the sidewalk cafe at the number table and chairs that you stated.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, first I'll go to the public. Do I have any members of the public on this item? Okay, if not, I will go to Addison and then Marco.
Make a motion to approve this as presented.
Okay, you have Barbara supportive. I am supportive. Okay, and now I will go to Marco.
Yeah, the question that I have is, I don't know, is this the last application?
Yes.
I saw in the application an enclosed sidewalk cafe, regardless whatever you have inside, it is enclosed, and that you hear from the attorneys. I think we hear now from the expediter that come with different perception of the law.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Tamayo, it's unenclosed per the city. That's a windbreaker. They take it down.
No. That is your definition. This is not the law. Okay, I know very well the building code. That is not the law. So my recommendation is, I do not have a problem with the number of seats. It's extremely small, but the enclosure that leads to an enclosed sidewalk cafe, and you cannot have anything. And if you want to have an enclosure, the rule is you can enclose 1.5 feet from the facade to the sidewalk. Not in the way that you are proposing. It's too much. And I think if you are persistent to continue with that, and if somebody else that doesn't understand the regulations and recommend the approval, I will go against that. Because you hear very well, and I asked two attorneys, that they are unwilling to do something that's outside of the law. Thank you.
Just so you know, you can get a permit for that plastic enclosure, because in the winter, it minimizes noise and it stops cold from coming into the location. So on there, I must correct you. You can get a permit from the Department of Buildings for that type of restaurant, external, and it's just a plastic. There's no permanence to it,
But
just so you know.
there is a size limit to that. It cannot cover the entirety of the outdoor cafe. It's only for the door, and it's limited inside. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Abraham. And by the way, I'm a licensed architect, and Abraham is correct. Thank you.
Okay, Russell?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have that. Barbara's just agreeing. Judy, you have a comment? Or
Yes, I'm confused. Doesn't take much. Can Ariella please explain what it is she thinks she's putting out as opposed to what Marco said was the law?
Right now, before all of this came into play, the applicant had a plastic, it's like a plastic covering to avoid cold, too much heat and noise coming out of the location. The law permits you to do it, but in the front of the entrance, and we're going to correct that and abide by the law. We are going to be an unenclosed sidewalk cafe, and as you know, the sidewalk cafes are only for 8 months at a time.
Right. So you're just enclosing the door at winter time.
Correct.
I understand you correctly. Otherwise, the rest of it will be opened.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Addison?
Well, I guess I made a resolution. Russell made a resolution. So I'll call the question on Russell's resolution so that I can do that.
Okay. We've called the question. Marco, I will, if you have one last parting thought, but just to clarify, they indicated that they're going to be in compliance and take down whatever they have. Okay.
So they are willing to put stipulation that they will be removed and comply with the building code.
Yes.
Okay.
And we have to be for the sidewalk cafe.
So if that is a stipulation with that condition, that's perfectly fine for me. Thank you.
Okay, great. Addison, do you accept that? Wait, no, it was Russell who cut the question. Russell, you accept that, I'm assuming, yes? And Bill, do you have a question, comment, or do you want to call the new question?
I just came in late. So what was the resolution?
So this is a motion to approve this unenclosed sidewalk cafe with the stipulation that the applicant indicated they're going to be in compliance with the new regulations for sidewalk cafe under the DOT, which includes removing the existing plastic covering that they had prior to the new regulations coming into place.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I will call the question. Does anyone oppose me calling the question? Okay, I see none. Great. Okay, so we're gonna go to the roll. This is a motion to approve with the stipulation as presented by Marco and accepted by Russell. If anyone's voting no, not voting for cause or abstaining, please give me a sign. Otherwise, this will go as a 9-0 vote. Bill, you joined us, so I will include you on this one. Thank you. Anyone voting no, not voting for cause or abstaining? Seeing none, that is going to go as an approval. Thank you very much for clarifying and for coming to us this evening, and good luck to Water and Wheat.
Thank you for your time and consideration. Have a good evening, everyone.
Okay, that is the end of the agenda. Do I have any new or old items for conversation? Marco.
Yeah, I think we have to establish right now, probably some of the restaurants, and I didn't ask, if you're still having the road sidewalk cafes, all of this, and because the law, it will come, I think, if I'm not wrong, next month, and or whatever month it will come. But we had to establish a good policy, and we had to let know the applicants that we're gonna rule under the rules of the DOT and the other rules. So won't be surprised to present to us, and it will be easier for us to approve and move quick, and like in this case. And because I saw this enclosure, and I asked the two attorneys, coincidentally, I asked the two attorneys these questions, and I think if it's good for one, it has to be good for everybody else. We cannot create disparities in the business because it will confuse to us. And this is no good public policy to establish with the community, because one is gonna complain, say, why one have something and we don't have the other one? So I think we have to establish very well our rules, and I think we have the guidance of DOT and move forward with that. And I think that's, I would like to establish something in that direction. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Marco. Yes, I mean, our policies are any approval when we have a new program, a new application under the new outdoor dining program will be subject to compliance with the laws as set forth. So we will make that clear if we need to, but yes, of course we will. Thank you, Marco. Judy?
Yes, I know you get tired of me hearing me say this, but I'd like to put a fifth item up on the top for all the people who come before us. And item 5 is that they agreed to post their restaurants or whatever for a hearing, and that they agreed to remove the postings once the hearing is over. I would like to make that an item, and if they don't do it, by the time it comes to the full board, we still see postings up. I think we have reason to disapprove their application.
So I did make a public service announcement at the beginning of this meeting. We can definitely add that. I'd be a little remiss to revoke someone's application for a posting, but again, that's up to everyone to decide on their own. But yeah, so we can add that to the list, Judy.
I think it would be good to add it to the list. It would be helpful. It would be a start, and then we can maybe call the office, excuse me, with complaints if people aren't doing it. But I mean, I'm removing flyers from lampposts, and when I take them down, there are flyers that are there from, I can't tell you how many months before. And the people in the neighborhood association are doing it, and we're just getting tired of seeing all these poles pasted up with stuff.
Okay, we'll add it. Thank you, Judy. Barbara?
I have just a general question that I didn't have a chance to ask with the first applicant. It came up with Mrs. Brown, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but when somebody says they're ADA accessible, it only means the ground floor. Am I right? So there was an upstairs cafe. We never said, is there an elevator? There's no reason to ask them whether that's ADA accessible or.
The requirement is only for the first floor. Unfortunately, it does
Okay.
not a legal requirement to make the second floor.
Does that mean they have to have an ADA accessible? I mean, usually a bakery doesn't have a bathroom, but I assume there's one upstairs. I mean, I wanted to ask them about it, and the question was called, and I didn't want to make a fuss.
The requirement is for the first floor, so yeah, that's
Okay.
where.
You're right.
Marco?
Let me clarify exactly so everybody will understand. The requirements for the handicap is just only for the first floor. Why? Because if you ask to put a lift or an elevator inside, they would kill a lot of space, and it will be extremely expensive.
I understand. Yeah.
So that is why it's just only for the first floor. And the first floor, it should be fully handicap accessible, the bathroom, and have specific dimensions. In the case of an existing building, an existing application that do not modify, it is okay to put a removable ramp at the entrance, but it has to provide to the patrons this kind of service for handicap accessible. That is according with the American Disability Act. So we can rule under this direction, but we can ask to have also fully in compliance, especially in the entrance. I'm seeing usually most of the time they are one step access to the place, and as long as provide something and do not modify the inside, so then you have a chance to go with this removable platform. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Just last item for me, if we can, as we talk about accessibility, if we can try to remove the handicap term from our vernacular, as it is no longer an acceptable means to discuss accessibility issues. Any new topics?
But tell us what is acceptable. I think I'm unmuted.
Accessibility or ADA. So like there's an accessibility lift, or you can say ADA ramp, but the handicap term is out of date.
Handicap is not right. I just wanted to say, I was just qualifying. By no means do I think the second.
No, not at all.
Well, there was a whole discussion after. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Barbara. Okay. Any comments or motions? I'm welcome to entertain. Addison.
Motion to adjourn.
Wonderful. Okay. I think everyone here is in support of that.
Can I say something before you go?
Of course, Marco. Always.
Okay. the term handicap I keep using because all the books that I have from the American Disability Act, that's what I mentioned. And no, I'm not trying to undermine nobody, but that's in the way that I learned, that's in the books that there are. I'm not going against what you were saying, so I'm sorry if I keep saying handicap accessible. Nothing to against what I think you have a very good perception about the people with disabilities, but this is what it is right now. In all the text, I never see that the federal government change the language in that part. And that's the only comments I would like to say. And probably I will keep saying a handicap. I'm sorry for that.
Thanks, Marco. It's a slow process to change. Appreciate it. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending. Have a good evening. Appreciate your input as always. Great seeing your faces, and have a good night until our full board. Bye-bye.